Here we are on a Monday afternoon, and Amy, you got it.
Welcome to Author Talk at our temporary new time on this lovely Monday afternoon. It's rather cold outside, but I'm here with Sandy, Russell, and Robert. You guys know me. I'm Amy.
Hey, Robert.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, Robert.
Hey.
Okay, well, so yes, this is Monday afternoon instead of Monday morning. And in case you missed it, Amy and I did a quick little thing this morning, experimenting with another tool that we can get to Facebook Live, which was fun. Be Live lets you actually put your name up on the screen. And when anyone makes a comment, that comes up on the screen too.
I like that.
I
think
do
we
too.
ought to think about going to that. I like that a lot.
We'll definitely be experimenting with that. It was fun for this morning for sure. So we have a special guest with us today, Robert Andrews from the Institute of Sports Performance. Robert is I want to make sure.
See, Robert, I told you she would do it.
I just want to make sure I don't say the wrong thing. Robert is a high performance coach. Sports coach. Now, how do you introduce yourself, Robert?
I'm a mental training expert, sports performance consultant or coach. I work with athletes, teams, coaches, organization to help improve their mental game, manage stress, distractions, overcome injuries, build the types of cultures that more and more teams are moving towards. Work with parents, parent organizations, parents of athletes.
And you're an author. You have a book coming
out. I'm an author.
Now he's an author. Boom. Yay!
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So, how long have you been practicing that? Because you said a lot without looking at anything. So,
how long have I been practicing in my business or practicing what I just said?
No, saying what you said.
Well, I get asked all the time. And interestingly enough, with all this stuff going on with gymnastics, I've been doing tons of interviews. So I've been rehearsing that a lot because I get asked a lot, what do you do? Because two of my niches are gymnastics and helping athletes overcome the mental and emotional impact of injury. So I've been called upon to give my 2 cents for all this crazy stuff that's going on with the sport of gymnastics.
Robert, that reminds me, before we leave here, I want to ask you about they were showing the Olympics this weekend, and they showed Carrie Scruggs when she did that last jump. I want to talk to you about that. That's just considering how hurt she was, that's just an amazing feat what she did.
Well, that's one of the biggest Olympic moments of all time, right?
I think so too.
Yeah.
But before we get started, you had a big weekend this weekend, Sandy. Tell us about it.
We had a book launch this weekend of our client, Sue Hawley. Sue was our guest last week on Author Talk, and she's been with us a few times. She's actually very involved in what we're doing with our course. But this weekend was our launch of her book 1, Hot Flashes, Cold Cases. Very successful. I think she sold like almost 500 books. And so lots of good stuff. She was on a lot of websites. Amy, I'll have to show you the list of groups that I added this weekend. I think I now have like 150 author groups.
Right.
Groups.
I know you did, because I kept getting hit when you put it on groups. What's that group? What's that group?
I know, and
Sandy's
you kept
like the professional Facebook every group person, Robert.
Good person to know.
She's liable to get banned. She's so much on stuff.
So we had a good time, and lots of books sold, lots of comments. I was really impressed that some of the people in those groups would come in and say, "Hey, I just got the book, can't wait to read it," and stuff like that. So that was good. Very good.
So how was your Facebook party too on Friday night?
We had a Facebook party to kick it off. So Robert, you pay attention, because this is all coming for you in about a month or a few weeks anyway. We had a Facebook party Friday night, and it turned out really well, I thought. Did you, Amy?
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
So we gave away 2 autographed copies of the books, and then we gave away something, an Amazon gift card. So it was fun.
Just tell Sue I'm still waiting for my autograph copy.
Well, Okay.
She's on. She's listening, so she totally heard it.
Hey, Sue, where's my copy?
Okay, and then Sue, real quick, I'm going to tell you that Sue's with us tonight too, and Russell, hopefully. Tonight is the first night in our new course called How to Create a Best-Selling Book. And let me tell you, there's lots of authors have given lots of instructions to other authors on what it took to be a bestseller. So we're going to go into those tonight. So everybody's going to pick a bestseller to get to know, to follow, to read their blog. So Robert, pay attention and we'll get you on that one of these days too. So people are following you and reading your blog. So we got to get
I think
blog.
I'm going to follow him now. I think that just from what I found out about him getting ready for this podcast.
Don't wait to follow him. Follow him.
I know.
As soon as you can. That's great. That's great. So, so Russell, we always get an update from you about what's going on with you.
Okay, well, I've been helping Write Fest get ready for Write Fest, which is the big writers conference coming up at the end of April and the 1st of May. And I've been contacting people that are with managers of libraries and bookstores and inviting them to come. And I got to tell you, people are really excited, especially they want to come and listen to Justin Cronin, the man that wrote the Passages trilogy. They want to come hear him. There's a lot of fans.
And I didn't know, I mean, I can't believe we haven't heard of him before. I had never heard of him before. Had you?
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, Russell's having too much fun without us there. And
I'm having fun.
That was great.
It makes the podcast more interesting. See, Robert, I told you, get ready.
So one of the things that no one ever accuses us of having this boring podcast that they just have to
really.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so one of the things you're doing as we get ready for Write Fest is and this was your idea, Russell, and I think it's a great idea, that we're offering guest passes. You know, a lot of places offer guest passes to the media. We're offering them to libraries, bookstores. Who else?
Well, right now, and people that are on the board that work with funding libraries and helping run them, these people, they wouldn't actually come to a Write conference, but it's a way to introduce the wider literary community to the Houston Writers Guild and to the Writers Conference.
So when we were talking this morning, Amy, about some things going on with that's great, Russell. I think that's a really good idea you had, and implementing that is a way to bring in all of these other writer components, writers groups. We have the Houston Writers House. We have all the romance writers groups. So a really big push to bring all writers in for this conference. And Robert, you'd have to see Write Fest. It is it's over off Taylor Street, off Sawyer Street.
Mm-hmm.
Silver Screen Studio. Is that what it's? Silver Studio? I forgot what it's called. The name of the building where they are. But it's absolutely it's all about writers. And they have workshops, they have conferences, they have panel discussions, all kind of things going on. So definitely want to make sure. And one of the things that I'll have, so Perceptive Public Relations will have a table for I don't know if their tables are all week or just 1 or 2 days. Do you know, Russell?
I don't know. I know that the Houston Writers Guild is 2 days, and Write Space is doing 4 or 5 days. There's a lot of it.
And there will be agents there and publishers there, acquisition editors.
I hope to speak to some agents and publishers myself.
Good. You should. So anyway, it could be a big thing. And so I'll have a table there. We'll have your books on the table. So it'll be a way of letting people know about your stuff. And I'll get some of your, some cards or something, brochures from your business to have there as well.
Let's talk about Robert.
Yeah,
cool.
That's awesome.
We didn't have our social media.
Cool.
We didn't have our social media.
We'll end with that.
Okay.
Fascinating than that.
Yay. Okay, then. So I met Robert because I went to a mastermind. What was it, a year ago, 2 years ago? I can't remember.
It's probably about a year ago, I'd say. Yeah.
And so Robert's business coach and my business coach each other. So they had a mastermind, and both of them invited their clients to be there. So Robert was there, I was there. And I met him and found out what he did and was very impressed with it. And it was a few months after that, he introduced this video series, it is Champions Mental Edge for Athletes. So this is the landing page for that series of videos. And in these videos, Robert teaches and talks about the same things he's been coaching and consulting with clients for a long time. And so athletes, yes. Athletes.
Yeah, Robert, tell us some of the athletes you've worked with. This is what's exciting. And when people hear this, they're going to say, this is somebody I need to listen to.
Well, the ones I can talk about, I mean, one of the most visible athletes in the world is Simone Biles, the 4-time Olympic, 10-time world champion gymnast from here in the Houston area. Worked with her for 3.5 years before the Rio Olympics. And I worked with Lori Hernandez, who was a gold medal and silver medalist at the Rio Olympics, and also won the Dancing with the Stars competition, if you watch that after the Olympics. And I've worked with Olympic champion swimmers and Olympic medalists in other sports. I do a lot of work with NFL players. If you look behind me, there's a Case Keenum jersey. He was the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings.
Did you work with Case?
I helped him with his knee injury in college when he tore his ACL.
Okay, you're the man then. You're the man.
I'm
Good
the man.
job.
And I've stayed in touch with him when he was with the Texans and both Ram teams in St. Louis and LA, and then with the Vikings. And he doesn't mind me saying that. You know, he's real vocal about the work we do. And so are Simone and Lori. I usually don't talk much about clients, but they've done interviews about our work, you know, worldwide. And so they've been a real catalyst for my brand going global in the last year and a half.
So Simone actually has a testimonial in your book.
Right. And so does Case, and so does some other Olympic athletes that I work with, Olympic gymnasts, pole vaulters. And so, yeah, I got a nice group of people that pulled together to offer their words about the work that we've done and the success that we've created together.
So this is what the book looks like, or will look like, as soon as that's not the exact way it's going to end up looking, but it's close to that.
Close enough, yeah.
We made a few tweaks since that was done. Those of you that are involved in publishing or books in any way know that you never know what's going to be the last one until you actually send it to publishing. So we've made a few changes. We finished up. I think we basically finished all the editing, right, Robert? You were the one that was doing the last look through it. So ready to hand that off. The cover designer, which by the way is James Price. And yay, James, he had a baby this weekend. His wife had a baby.
Cool. Wow.
So, yeah. So in the midst of all this, he now has 7 children. So this was he had 6. And
I don't know how he had any time to work on Robert's cover.
I know. Well, the front cover, he didn't have a lot to do because Robert's business coach, tweaked it a lot. His wife did. So anyway, Robert, I want you to talk about how you help athletes. So one of the big ways you're known for helping them is after an injury.
Mm-hmm.
So tell them how that works.
Well, I played high school and college sports and suffered a bunch of injuries. And what I noticed there was a very strong mental and emotional, even psychological component to injuries. And I wish I would have had somebody like me around back in my dark ages of playing sports back in the 70s and early 80s, because I was terrified of getting hurt again. I had suffered a really bad knee injury, and, that's part of my story. And, but when years ago, I started learning a lot of trauma resolution techniques, and I worked with people that have been involved in like fatal and near fatal automobile accidents and domestic violence and things like that. And all of a sudden one day it hit me that these same trauma protocols that I've learned will help injured athletes. So I saw my first injured athlete. It was a high school football player that had torn his knee up pretty bad. And a friend of mine is a high school football coach and athletic director, sent me my first athlete, and boy, did it work, you know, and I knew I was on to something then. So I did injuries for a while. And then people started asking me about, well, can you help improve performance and, you know, manage the nerves and that knot that they get in their stomach and handling pressure. And well, I had done years of human performance training, so I wove that into my practice. And in a very short time, I was working with Olympic hopeful athletes in the Beijing Olympics, and my wife and I went to the Beijing Olympics, and it just took off. And I've worked with athletes in 3 Olympic Games and Olympic hopefuls in the Winter Olympics, and just been a pretty remarkable ride. But in addition to injuries, I do a lot of work with building confidence and self-esteem and mastery at creating excellence in sport, and really do a really good job of making it fun, you know, achieving the highest levels of sports performance that you would ever want to achieve. You know, I saw a picture of Lori Hernandez on getting ready to step onto the Olympic floor with her hand on her stomach, working on some breathing techniques that I taught her. And she's looking over, smiling at her coach with this big grin. And I said, you know, who smiles and has that much fun at the Olympic Games? Well, someone who's prepared with this model certainly does that. So I decided to write the book because I wanted to reach the masses with it, because it's a very powerful and practical approach to the mental aspects of sports performance. And I wanted to make it something very easy to read, very practical. And that was the vision for the book. And, you know, here we are getting ready to launch it.
And lots of good stuff in the book. And the story about how you got started working with athletes is a great story. You went to a friend of yours.
Steve, yes. Uh-huh.
And he's the one that wrote the foreword to the book, right, or the introduction?
No, that's another friend. Dave Jessic wrote the foreword. He was U.S. Olympic assistant coach in the 1992 Olympics, and he was a national team coach in men's gymnastics. And we became really good friends through the 5 years that I worked with the men's national team and men's gymnastics here in the United States. So he wrote the foreword, but the guy that sent me the athlete was a guy I've known since 7th grade named Steve Van Meter. He's a high school athletic director and head football coach. And he got it. He goes, nobody's treating injuries that way. You know, they just see them as a physical event. Nobody's working on the sadness and the grief and the fear of re-injury. So he sent me that first athlete, and man, I said, I'm on to something here. So now I work with NFL players all over the league that come to Houston to see me to do this protocol, and local sports teams and high school, college athletes. So
I'm not sure there's somebody there missing your message over there at the Texans, but we won't go into that, though. We're just excited about the one.
He's got Case. That's what matters. Okay.
There you go.
He took care of Case.
Yeah.
So, but I do love, and so we'll mention and give this shout out to one of your clients that we all know, Simone Biles, who has been in the news a lot lately, unfortunately, and unfortunately for the reason she's been in the news. But I was telling Russell earlier, I set up Google alerts for all of my clients and anyone connected with them. So, of course, I set up a Google alert for Simone Biles. And 3 or 4 times a day, she's mentioned in some magazine, some newspaper. So, so she had a book that just came out, and also a Lifetime movie. And
you said you're in the movie.
It's kind of funny, yeah. There's a guy that they show her struggling, and her confidence is dropping, and then they send her to somebody, and they have this powerful conversation, and that somebody is me. They don't mention my name, but it's me. And then she has this remarkable ascension up to the top. And what was really cool was after the movie, they had an hour-long biography where they talked with Simone and her coach, Amy Borman, and her parents, Ron and Nellie Biles. And they talked a lot about me and how much I helped her. And Ron even said, you know, what's interesting is that once she saw him, she's never lost another meet. And I thought that was a pretty nice testament to the work that we've done. Yeah.
Okay, I do have another question for you.
Yes, sir.
So how did you transfer that to the book? How did you do that?
Transfer what I do to the book?
Yes.
Well, I have a system that works, and I use it on every athlete that I work with, and it's a detailed analysis where we gather as much information as we can about what that athlete is like when they're performing at the highest levels they've ever performed, and we capture that information. And then we look at what's going on when they're really struggling. Because my belief is if you're not injured, the talent is innate, right? It's always there. It's always present. It depends on which, we call it performance temperament, which personality, which character traits and behaviors kind of take over that body, if you will. That's a different way of looking at it. But to me, that's what it's all about. So we take a good hard look at when they're at their best, when they're struggling, and then we look at how things begin to change. And the metaphor I use there is, what are the warning signs that the storm is starting to build, just like in nature? You know, you start biting your nails, or you get a knot in your stomach, or you get angry, or you shut down, or whatever it might be. And every athlete has those warning signs. So we do the assessment. And then the rest of the book is about teaching them the program, different aspects of managing energy for performance, or managing stress and distractions, or how important personality is in performance. And that it's not true just for sports. It's for, if you're a corporate leader or a painter. I've had painters call me, or opera singers. You know, performance is performance. I even work with, you know, elite special forces, Navy SEALs types, you know, the firefighters, where performance is performance. And you have to be able to access that energy for performance the right way. And that's what my book teaches, is how to mindfully approach this systematic program that I teach athletes. And the book explains all of that in detail, and it's very, very practical.
Well, when's it coming out?
We're looking at early mid March, right, Sandy?
Yep. It's ready. It's pretty much ready now. We're looking to schedule it pretty soon after the Olympics, because everybody's mind is focused on the Olympics right now, which is one of the reasons we wanted to introduce the book right now while the Olympics are going on. Also, because of Simone and the work he did with her and the Olympics and all, and the gymnasts. So looking at all the timing is very key to whether you have a book or you have a movie or you're introducing a new product. You look at when is a good time to launch it. So we'll be having the launch sometime a second week in March, in that time frame. And you're going to be hearing lots of announcements. We'll bring you back on this program, but we'll also, this is a podcast, but we'll also be sending information out to the mainstream media and getting some visibility there as well. We got press releases going on. We're right now working on several things like that. So so stay tuned. Robert will be back. And Robert, I was going to say, when I was looking at your I was looking at the manuscript while you were talking, and so one of the things you do talk about is for parents as well, right? Mm-hmm. You do some work with the parents of athletes.
Absolutely, so yes.
You want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, I'm real metaphorical in my work, and I think of the life of an athlete as like a three-legged stool, and the parents are one leg, and the coach or coaches are another leg, and the athlete is that third leg. And if there's a weakness in any one of those legs of the stool, the athlete's not going to reach their full potential. So I can teach an athlete everything that they want to learn, but if they have a poor coach with a poor coaching style, or parents who are too meddling or overbearing, or try to coach in place of the coach, then there's going to be problems within that system. So I like to work with all three components of the system. Like with Simone Biles, we had regular meetings with her parents, her coach, and Simone and I, all sitting at their dining room table, because we wanted the system moving in the same direction. So I do coach workshops, real powerful parent workshops. I've had parents come up to me at the end of these workshops and say, I had no idea the importance of the role I played, and how my child's mind ticks, and how it works, and the difference that I can make in their performance and in their life.
That's awesome. Awesome. So we can't wait for this book and see all the things the doors it's going to open for you, Robert, as you speak. He mentioned the Navy SEALs a minute ago, and he just spoke there a couple months ago, right?
Navy SEAL Foundation in San Diego at their Impact Forum. Yeah, that was one of the honors of my life. There were some remarkable people in that room, and to be able to just, if I can help move them along that much, I feel honored to be able to do that.
Yay. And we're just excited to have you part of our group, our team. So Russell, did you have any other questions for Robert?
I have a million questions for Robert.
Well, we don't have time for a million questions.
I know. Well, Robert, I ask you, I was watching this weekend, I mentioned, and they show, when they're talking about the Olympics, they always show when Carrie Struggs did that leap with that terrible leg injury. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's one of the greatest Olympic moments in the history of the Olympics. And, that's someone who was all in for her team, because that was about the team championship. And she had a severely sprained ankle, and she sprained it on the first vault. And on her second vault, she could have defaulted, but there would have gone the medal. So to me, it was the ultimate example of mental toughness. And that's so much of what elite performance is all about. And every time you see that, there's just kind of this, every time. And that's whenever they show the Olympics, they always show that. So she's a legend, and she exhibits so much of what I teach in my video series and in my books. And, that was back before mental training and mental performance was really accepted. So for her to have that kind of mental fortitude and focus back then is pretty remarkable.
Say.
I know. Yeah, absolutely. And we could go on and on with stories. And I would love to talk to you more, even about the part of your book that talks about the championship team cultures.
Yeah.
So it's more than just the individual. It's also the team and coaching the team and the things that they do that brings a team together. And I love some of the things you said in there, because we're all on a team of some kind. Mm-hmm. And so bringing your best, putting your best foot forward and doing your best for the team was great. So we'll have to talk about some of that.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah. So
when he comes back on in mid-March and for the big opening, because I'll be real excited to talk about this when I can say, and you can go here and get the book.
I know.
There you go.
Well, you can go to the website and check it out. And the website is championsmentaledge.com. And that's where you go see the video, or you can see the training that he does. What is your main website, Robert?
You can Google search the Institute of Sports Performance, or TIN as in Nancy, TINSSP as in Paul.com, TINSSP.com, or you can Google Robert Andrews Sports Performance and I'll pop right up.
So if someone has a question for you, what's the best way to reach you?
Email me. Yeah.
And that would be your
Robert Andrews at TINSSP.com. And that stands for the Institute of Sports Performance.com.
And also you're on Facebook and some other social media things as well, right?
Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Yeah, all that.
So go follow him, get to know him, and then be looking forward to his book coming out in just 2 or 3 weeks.
Can't wait.
So thank you, Robert, for being with us today.
Thank all of y'all. Yeah.
And Amy always has a huge social media tip for us each week. So, or some news. What we want people to know watching this is that this is like the cutting edge. I mean, this is where the minute they release something, we find out and we share it. So, Amy, what are you sharing this week?
I don't know. My mind is blown. I'm so fascinated.
Well, you talked about the switching, Amy. What's the newest thing if you're trying to promote your book and you switch between social medias? What's that?
Do you want to share
from like social media managers? So like I manage 23 different Facebook accounts. So instead of logging out of mine personally and logging into theirs, I can just switch accounts and I don't have to log out of my own. It'll just switch me to their profile, which is fascinating. It's easier for social media managers. I don't know if like an everyday user would use it. It's more for like business management and stuff.
So I wouldn't really use that, right? That's not something.
No, that's not something you really use.
Okay.
It's just true. You wouldn't really
Robert wouldn't use that, right?
Probably not.
Robert would not.
This is great news because every time I want to post something in one of my clients' accounts, I had to log out and log in as them. And, then sometimes I forget to log out from them and I think I'm in my account and I'm in their account. And so
I know, Robert, you should see some of the things she's posted on my accounts thinking it's her account. I'm like, what? My grandkids? What? I don't have that many grandkids.
I'll be on the lookout.
You should.
You better watch out. She'll post pictures of barking chihuahuas.
Oh, gosh.
The dangerous thing is when I have access to your Amazon account. That's
very dangerous. Robert, I advise you as your lawyer not to let her do that.
I didn't think about that.
I have bought a few books when all of a sudden it said, "Thank you, Russell." And I'm like, oh no.
My wife's always, why is Sandy buying books on our account? I don't know.
Oh gosh. Anyway, I warned Sue, our latest client, about that up front. I'm like, Sue, so now Robert, I'm warning you. So now most of the time I have to tell you that I only buy 99-cent books. So and I always buy the ebooks. So not gonna hurt you.
It'll be fine.
Anyway, so thank you. It has been a great time. Any last word from you, Russell?
I just liked his story about Carrie, and I wish that I had gone to one of his seminars when my kids were young. I had high school athletes. I had one son that was a college athlete. I wish I had gone to one of your seminars when they were young.
Nice.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's nice.
I wish I had your book back then.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, you have grandchildren.
Yes, I do. I don't plan on being any more coaches or athletic parents, though.
Okay. Well, you can give them a copy of the book.
There you go.
Amy, any last minute thing? Any last word from you?
No, I'm excited to have Robert back. I mean, it was just fascinating.
I know. It did feel like you went away for a little bit because we were all in the production thing and we didn't see you for a while. So the holidays and all that. So
I'm excited.
We're moving forward at warp speed now to get this.
Good.
So Robert, I'm not looking at Russell. So Robert, do you have any last word?
No, I just appreciate all of you having me on, and I appreciate your enthusiasm about this. And this is a real exciting time. It's a big deal to put your name on something and put it out there. And I really appreciate all your support in making it happen.
So anything about the Olympics? What would you say if somebody asked you about the Olympics going on right now?
Well, listen to it, watch and listen to the Olympics through a different lens of perception and a different filter in your ears. Listen how many times they talk about pressure and their mindset and mental game. And that's something that's evolving more and more over the last few years. And I noticed that's a big part of the commentators' conversation. And they just couldn't handle the nerves. They just couldn't handle the pressure, or they masterfully handled everything that was coming at them. Just listen to it through that filter. And I think you'll start understanding more of what goes on in the mind and in the heart of an Olympic athlete. It's a really cool way to watch the Olympics.
And I'm glad you said that, because mindfulness, I remember, is one of the words you used. And that is very true for authors as well as athletes. And you said as musicians. So mindset is a really big thing. And we're talking in this course on how to create a bestseller. And my thought as I'm working on this course was, if you go into this thinking it's not possible for me to have a best-selling book, then you're not going to have a best-selling book. Mm-mm. So it is all about the mindset. You see yourself as a best-selling author, and then you see what it takes to get you there. What's holding you back from getting there.
I have a perfect example of that. I was watching figure skating last night, and they were talking about this wonderful skater from the United States, I can't think of her name, but the girl with the Japanese last name who just skated magnificently last night. And they said they went into their first training practice, and these other girls from other countries watched her. And a girl from, I think it was Italy or France, walked by one of the commentators and said, "She's amazing. She's already won the gold medal." And I said, well, then so be it. You just created that, Yeah. And so in that girl's mind, that skater's mind, she's unbeatable, so I'm going to settle for silver or bronze now. And so she's already defeated herself, because that's what she locked in on right there.
Yep, that is so true. If authors and as well as sports performers, we could get that. That is really a big part of the battle. And I told you I used to know Edwards, who was the tennis performance coach for River Oaks Country Club. Mm-hmm. And they had a team that was a very good team for a while, but never really won any of the matches, the playoffs and stuff. So they brought him in because that was what they said was missing, was something in the mental coaching, the mental consulting. So I'm glad people are understanding that, how important it is that you have the right mindset. So.
Yep.
So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Russell and Amy, for being my co-host, plural, co-hosts. So it was fun. I had a great time, and I will talk to you guys later. Russell, do we have any idea who's our guest next week?
Well, we did 2 hours ago. Right now, we don't.
Okay, we'll be announcing on Facebook who next week's guest is going to be.
Stay tuned. Yeah.